This video was voted for by the members of my Discord server. If you want to vote on future videos and join our community, the link is in the description. Hello everyone, and welcome to my ranking of every Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 1. This video idea was suggested to me by a subscriber of mine called KnightRyder a couple months back, and finally here it is. Before we begin, I would like to state the ground rules for this ranking. All Keyblades will be ranked, whether they are an optional unlock or not. This ranking will be based around both in-game stats and the looks of Keyblades. However, most of my rankings do factor stats quite a lot, arguably more than the looks, so just keep that in mind. And for a reminder, this is only my opinion. Nothing here is factual. You may like a certain Keyblade that I don't like, or vice versa, and that's perfectly fine. Feel free to discuss it in the comments below with others, but please keep it civil. And without further ado, let's get on with the ranking. And in last place is Wishing Star. You know, Wishing Star might be the most forgettable Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 1 for me. In terms of stats, it is pretty bad aside from one positive I will mention in a second, and visually it is one of the ugliest Keyblades in the game. Wishing Star guarantees a critical hit at the end of combos or with moves that have crit chances attached to them. It also has a +2 crit bonus, but aside from that, there is nothing good about this Keyblade. It is one of 3 short Keyblades, so it is harder to hit enemies with it. It only has 1 more strength than the Kingdom Key does, and it has a recoil stat of 1, so constantly when you clash you'll not be able to react quickly. How could this Keyblade be anywhere above the bottom 3? For the point you get it at in the game especially, it is outclassed by 3 wishes which you got back in Agrabah, and can be immediately outclassed by Spellbinder in the same trip to Traverse Town. The Keyblade sucks in terms of how it looks too. The cog hit effect is quite cool, it has the same green swing effect as Jungle King when it is a yellow and orange weapon, and plus the design is also not my thing whatsoever. I get it's meant to be handmade, but that doesn't change the fact that I think it is unappealing in design. But then again, that word could describe this Keyblade as a whole when you have much better options. Easily the worst Keyblade in the game for me. At number 17 is Jungle King. I think some of these picks at the bottom of this list will be pretty obvious, but Jungle King may come as a surprise to some of you when it is considered by most to be an upgrade for the Kingdom Key. While Jungle King does have a longer reach and 2 more strength than Kingdom Key does, I personally believe it is worse due to its crit chances and recoil stats. Jungle King only has a crit chance of 0.5 times and it has a recoil stat of 1. This is problematic as due to the longer reach of the Keyblade, you may accidentally clash with another attacking enemy in mob fights, leaving you wide open for attack due to the longer recoil. And while crit chance isn't as important earlier in the game, you can still get the upper hand with it in boss fights, so only being up 0.5 times makes it detrimental for the player. This is worse for those who went with the Dream Sword or Dream Shield, as they may have Slapshot at this point, which can also deal critical damage, so the worst crit chance can be annoying if you need to be lucky in the middle of a combo too. In terms of looks, Jungle King is my least favourite Keyblade. I think that it fits for the world it originates from, but to me it feels like an outlier among the other Keyblades as a result. The effects are quite lame too, as I'm not a big fan of the green swing effect or the leaves and stars being combined for the hit effect. The token being a blue butterfly is a nice reference to the world's keyhole, though as a whole I feel Jungle King can't be saved from near the bottom of this list. At number 16 is the Kingdom Key. Kingdom Key is far and away the most iconic Keyblade in the series, no question about it. Although, with it being the starting Keyblade, it wasn't going to get too far up in this list with appearance alone. Kingdom Key is decent for the first couple of worlds due to its crit chance of 1 times and its recoil stat of 30 in comparison to those from Jungle King. But it is tied for the worst strength stat in the game, being only 3 strength, and it only has a medium range. I can look past these, however, due to the weapon itself being more consistent and with the better recovery from clashing attacks or blocking attacks. As stated before, Kingdom Key has a very well known appearance attached to it, and it is one of the few Keyblades to appear in most games across the series. It doesn't look like a weak weapon despite its shorter length and in-game stats, and it has some pretty cool effects with the stars flying off it when hitting an enemy. While visuals can't carry the Kingdom Key any higher due to how it plays, it would easily be in my top 5 if this list was solely based around the looks of Keyblades. At number 15 is 3 Wishes. 3 Wishes is the first Keyblade that I would describe as being okay with its stats. Thankfully it looks nice to go alongside the improvements it has from the other Keyblades listed so far. This Keyblade is essentially a better version of Kingdom Key. While it may have the same crit chance and the same length, it makes up for it with double the strength and a better recoil stat of 60. This makes it so you are quickly able to retaliate from after a block or a clash, which helps at this point in the game as clashing becomes a more common occurrence starting with Agrabah. At the very least, most people will use 3 wishes for 1 world at minimum. 3 wishes doesn't look as nice as the Kingdom Key, unfortunately, but I feel it holds up on its own merits regardless. The blue and yellow contrast is actually quite nice in my opinion, and the yellow swing effect and yellow stars with the hit effect make it more unique. The token being the Genie's Lamp is a pretty cool aspect too. Overall, a flat out upgrade to the Keyblades before this one. At number 14 is One Winged Angel. Now this Keyblade may be shocking to you with how low it is on this list, but when describing the endgame Keyblades of Kingdom Hearts 1, I think they fall into the same categories as the Dream Weapons in Dive to the Heart. Ultima is the best one all around like the Dream Shield, Diamond Dust is best for those who want to focus on magic like the Dream Rod, and One Winged Angel is comparable to the Dream Sword, as it's basically fucking useless. This may come as a shock to some, as the crit bonus on One Winged Angel is plus 16, however due to the soft cap of stats on bosses in Kingdom Hearts 1, which is what most likely will be left at this point in the game, it doesn't mean anything, and no extra damage is dealt. It is also annoying as this Keyblade only has a 0.5 times crit chance, meaning this bonus can be rare without any critical plus abilities. It has very little strength and removes 2 MP as well. The only benefits are that it's a longer Keyblade and that it has great recoil. Not much really if you think about it. Visually, this Keyblade is actually pretty cool though. I like the flame swing effect and the mini explosions with the hit effects, and the navy blue and orange on the blade are quite nice. Same goes for the teeth and token, which for One Winged Angel is a massive flame and a wing respectively. It's just too bad most will never use this Keyblade after they have unlocked it due to lots of poor stats. At number 13 is Metal Chocobo. Metal Chocobo falls in a similar position to One Winged Angel, funnily enough, but I feel Metal Chocobo has more usage cases than One Winged Angel does, despite being outclassed quickly by either Olympia or Lady Luck depending on your playstyle. Metal Chocobo has 9 strength, a recoil stat of 90, and is a long Keyblade, so it sounds pretty good so far, right? But it reduces your max MP by 1, and it has the lowest crit chance of all Keyblades in the game with 0.1 times, which is absolutely pathetic. Critical damage helps a lot in the latter half of Kingdom Hearts 1, so to have that low of a chance it's pretty hindering despite most of the other stats being really good. To make up for it though, Metal Chocobo looks quite nice. It resembles the Buster Sword much better than One Winged Angel represents the Masamune, and it has a Chocobo for its token, which is pretty cute. Another positive is that it has a unique grey swing effect, and the hit effect is fairly striking as well. If this Keyblade wasn't immediately outclassed, it would be higher up on this list for sure. At number 12 is Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead is a good Keyblade for when you receive it in the game, but in my opinion it is worse than the Keyblade you get for completing the other available Disney World at the time, that being Atlantica. As the description states, Pumpkinhead has a long reach and the ability to deal a string of critical blows with its 2 times crit chance. It has 7 strength as well, which is quite good. It is definitely a more strength-based Keyblade though, as it doesn't give any extra MP like a lot of the Keyblades on this list so far, and it has a recoil stat of 1, which I would say is the only true bad quality of the Keyblade for when you get it. It does get outclassed later, as most Keyblades do though. Pumpkinhead is somewhat similar to Oblivion with how it looks, and by no means is that a bad thing. It has a clean purple swing effect and a cool looking hit effect, which reminds me of the gravity spell. The rest looks good too, with the black blade, the Jack Skellington handle and pumpkin token. It's a shame that Pumpkinhead isn't that great in later worlds, which is why it's at 12th place on this list. At number 11 is Fairy Harp. Fairy Harp is an interesting Keyblade, as when looking at what is shown to you in game, it seems like it should be higher up, but I feel there are a couple things that drag it down a bit. Fairy Harp has 8 strength, adds 1 MP, as well as enhancing magic and summon power, which is exclusive to only a couple Keyblades. However, it is another short Keyblade, and it only has a 0.5 times crit chance, which is actually a nerf introduced in Final Mix. Nevertheless, its usefulness is limited because of this. It only has a recoil stat of 32, which doesn't help with the fact that it is a small Keyblade. At the very least it has a +2 crit bonus, but it doesn't come in handy that often. Fairy Harp is a cool looking Keyblade which encapsulates Neverland quite well, with it looking similar to Peter Pan himself. The green and white look great on the blade, and I even like the heart and the red feather being used for the teeth and token respectively. Fairy Harp is a good blade in some regards, but it is not the best at what it sets out to do. At number 10 is Crabclaw. Beginning the top 10, Crabclaw might be a slightly controversial pick for this high up, but I think it is the best Keyblade from the second set of Disney Worlds. Crabclaw gives 1 extra MP as well as 6 strength, while also enhancing magic and summon power like Fairy Harp. However, I prefer Crabclaw as in terms of hidden stats it is better in my opinion. Crabclaw has a medium range, has a 1x crit chance and a recoil stat of 30. If you're willing to trade 2 extra strength for better crit chances and range, then you may as well treat Crabclaw like an upgrade of Fairy Harp. Despite unlocking it in an earlier world, I feel those changes make it better. The aesthetic for this Keyblade is probably the worst part about it, and even then it is still okay. While the hit effect being a bunch of bubbles and the swing effect being a baby blue colour and nice touches, the actual blade is varied but strange to say the least, especially with the crab serving as the teeth to the blade. I would have preferred the blade to not be baby blue so it would look better with the purple patterns on the guard and the green handle, but overall a pretty good Keyblade for when you unlock it. At number 9 is Spellbinder. Spellbinder is the first of what I would classify as purely magic focused Keyblades. These Keyblades sacrifice better strength for much better magic stats and major upgrades to magic and summon power. While they may seem a bit poor on leveled runs, their usefulness is demonstrated greatly when going for a level 1 run. Spellbinder only has 4 strength, but it has the standard crit chance of 1x, the standard recoil stat of 30, and an upgraded MP boost of 2. In the early game, this is a pretty big upgrade as no other Keyblade up to this point can give you that much MP. It also helps that you can get its Keyblade straight after you've done Monstro, making Wishing Star obsolete as mentioned earlier. This is a great help for level 1 runs too, where with the right equipment you can be entering Halloween Town with 6 MP instead of 4, which is a major buff. Spellbinder is quite pretty as well. It has a distinct blue and white colour scheme, allowing it to stand out amongst the other Keyblades. It is also distinct with its token being a book, the magenta swing effect and the moon hit effects. Combined with the good stats for an early game Keyblade, and Spellbinder quite easily makes it into the top half of this list. At number 8 is Oblivion. Oblivion is unfortunately a pretty overlooked Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 1 due to it usually being unlocked around the same time as Divine Rose, and rightfully so, but I simply can't ignore how cool this Keyblade is. In terms of stats, Oblivion is still alright enough. It gives 11 strength, which is the third highest value that can be given by a Keyblade. It has a long range, the standard crit chances and recoil stats, and it has a crit bonus of +2. It's a good Keyblade, although the one flaw it has is that it removes 1 MP from Sora when in use, so that subtracts some points for me. But my favourite thing about Oblivion is how it looks. This might be my favourite Keyblade in the game in terms of visuals. It's just so slick and stylish, and represents Sora's bond with Riku very well. The midnight blue swing effect and the black stars when hitting enemies add to this, and alongside the token being the crown this is commonly associated as one of the logos for the series, it's no wonder this Keyblade has become a recurring part of the games. Despite it getting beaten in stats almost instantly by other Keyblades, Oblivion is still pretty high up on this list. At number 7 is Olympia. From this point on in the list, I consider all of these Keyblades to be great at what they do, and I can't think of any other place to start this section of the list with than Olympia. I think you would be hard pressed to find somebody that doesn't think this is at least a good Keyblade. Sure, it's only got medium length and a crit chance of ×1, but it makes up for that with 10 strength, 90 recoil and a crit bonus of 2, making the upcoming fights after the Hercules Cup much easier. I mean seriously, go into the Riku Ansem fight in your next playthrough with both Lady Luck and Olympia on different attempts, and you'll see how much being able to recover quickly helps in that fight, as well as some of the other endgame battles up ahead. Even on level 1, I recommend using Olympia over Lady Luck for that fight, and that means a lot when you need as much MP as possible in those runs. I used to not be a fan of how this Keyblade looks, but it has grown on me over my last couple of playthroughs. The grey and white colour palette with the rocky build of the blade looks nice to me personally, and it represents Thebes to make up for its absence. The orange swing effect and the yellow stars and orbs for the hit effect are a little out of place, but they still look good enough, and by no means drag this Keyblade down. Olympia rightfully earns its place at number 7 on this list. At number 6 is Lionheart. Lionheart is a Keyblade that I had never actually used until I was getting footage for this video, because by the time you get it, you already have Divine Rose or maybe even the Ultima weapon. But I have to say, this Keyblade is actually really good. This Keyblade and Olympia could honestly be swapped because they are somewhat similar. Lionheart has the same strength of 10 and crit chance of 1x, but what personally gives Lionheart the edge over it for me is that it gives 1 MP, enhances magic and summon power, and it has a longer reach than Olympia does. It doesn't give any crit bonuses and it doesn't have that great of a recoil stat, but that doesn't bother me when this Keyblade can be used as a more all-round weapon. Lionheart also looks fantastic to boot. It looks like a very elegant weapon, with grey and black being the only colours on the blade itself. It also produces fire with its hit effects like One Winged Angel, which fits considering Lionheart is based on Leon's Revolver Gunblade. Definitely the best Final Fantasy based Keyblade in the game. At number 5 is Lady Luck. We're kicking off the top 5 of this list with Lady Luck. This is another magic based Keyblade, but unlike the others, it actually has some decent strength attached to it, and is even more useful than Spellbinder's for the same purpose. Lady Luck provides 2 MP like Spellbinder, but instead of 4 strength, it has 7, which makes sense for a Keyblade you get during or after Hollow Bastion. It is medium sized, has a 1x crit chance, and only a 1 recoil stat, which is the only flaw of this Keyblade for me. The best use case for this Keyblade is during level 1 runs of the game, as it can help majorly until after the gold match at Olympus Coliseum. Lady Luck is another Keyblade that has grown on me visually. It matches Wonderland very well with the card token, the heart for the teeth, the clovers that are a part of the guard, and the hit effects being card symbols. It has a nice red swing effect to coincide with these two. Overall, a weapon that I would say is the best magic Keyblade until the end game. At number 4 is Oathkeeper. Unlike its brother, I think Oathkeeper isn't immediately outclassed by Divine Rose despite being able to get that Keyblade minutes later. In fact, I feel that Oathkeeper is the second best Keyblade for a balance between strength and magic. To some people, Oathkeeper may seem like a weaker version of Lionheart, as it has only 9 strength, a medium range, and a recoil stat of 1. However, it provides the same magic benefits as Lionheart and has a 2x crit chance, which is incredibly helpful following the Heartless becoming stronger after the first visit to Hollow Bastion. It keeps you in the fight and ensures you won't be outmatched by the Heartless. Oathkeeper is very stylish as well, albeit a little less than Oblivion is. The Keyblade represents Zora's bond to Kairi, as seen with the token being Kairi's lucky charm. It is a grey colour with lovely details like the wings on the guard and the yellow and grey swing effects. Oathkeeper is a wonderful Keyblade, but it is just shy of the top 3. At number 3 is Divine Rose. And here we have it, the best strength-based Keyblade in the game, Divine Rose. For some people, this may be the best Keyblade, and I can totally understand why. While it is a short Keyblade and it doesn't provide any MP, Divine Rose has 13 strength, which is just 1 short of the Ultima weapon. It has a great recoil stat of 60 and a 2x crit chance as well, which is handy for the super bosses and the Hades Cup that are available to you following Hollow Bastion. It's not like this Keyblade is a challenge to get either. All you have to do is speak to Belle after she reunites with the Beast and it's all yours. However, Divine Rose is probably my least favourite Keyblade out of the top 5 with how it looks. Don't get me wrong, it's a decent Keyblade with the rose as the teeth, the vines climbing up the blade and the red swing effect, but it is simply beaten by the rest in this part of the rankings. Its stumpiness doesn't help either, but don't get it twisted. Divine Rose is an incredibly powerful Keyblade and one you should certainly use. At number 2 is Diamond Dust. Diamond Dust is easily the best magic Keyblade in the game, and while its strength is honestly pretty pitiful, I can look past it for how good this Keyblade is if you want to purely use magic in the endgame. You can immediately see the focus on magic when looking at the stats for Diamond Dust. It is tied with Kingdom Key for the worst strength with only 3, and the recoil stat is 1, which would be a problem for other Keyblades this late in the game. Thankfully, it at least has a 1x crit chance and medium range, but the biggest bonus of the Keyblade is by far the free MP it provides. This is the highest of any Keyblade and is a major buff for magic users, and it allows you to get the maximum possible MP on level 1, where magic is very useful. It also helps a bunch with miscellaneous stuff, such as pink aggregus farming in Deep Jungle. Diamond Dust also looks brilliant. I love the ice focus of the Keyblade's design, and it's very unique with the swing and hit effects being made from ice, the blue becoming lighter as it goes from the handle to the teeth, and the yellow chain providing some variety in colours. I highly recommend Diamond Dust for anyone who seeks to have a mage build in Kingdom Hearts 1. And finally, at number 1 is the Ultima weapon. Certainly not a surprising choice for the top slot, I have to say, but in my opinion, Ultima has every other Keyblade beat because, you know, it is the ultimate weapon. Ultima has the best balance of stats in the game. It has a whopping 14 strength, 90 recoil, a +2 crit bonus, a 2x crit chance, a long range, and an extra 2 MP on top of everything else. For the work you have to put in to get this Keyblade, it is certainly worth it, as you become an unstoppable machine when Ultima is used in combination with the right equipment and abilities. It wipes the floor with enemies, and even some of the super bosses are dealt with it quite easily. Ultima looks marvellous too. The yellow wing pattern over the sword, the blue handle and the green guard create a great colour palette, while also making the Keyblade look flashy. It feels like a weapon of prestige, and a very royal one at that. It's no wonder Ultima is a series staple for numbered titles, putting it as one of the all-time greats in the series, and in my opinion, the best Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 1. Well, there you have it, my ranking for all of the Keyblades in Kingdom Hearts 1. I do have plans for similar videos for both Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 in the future, so be on the lookout for those when they come out. As mentioned in the intro, feel free to discuss your opinions in the comments below with others, but please keep things civil between one another. But outside from that, yeah, that's about it. See ya!